In this class we want to talk about the function of management. First of all, let's talk about the cycle of the management function, and it starts with planning. One of the key functions of management is planning. So we start quite rightly with that one. This is the determination of long-term goals and strategic planning, thinking about where the organisation needs to be and how it should get there, perhaps in the long run. There's also an element of operational planning. How should current production or current output be organised, and how should it be scheduled and delivered, and what technology is required, and that sort of thing. And also planning in terms of the objectives and the budgets that are allocated to particular functions. So planning is the start of the cycle. That's where it all kicks off. That's the original step. That's the starting step. Having determined the planning arrangements, it's necessary to set about organising. This is a departmentalisation, setting up who's going to do what, where, how does it fit together. So departments might be required, or separate functions might be required. Who will staff these functions, and who will be the boss, and what sort of delegation within the department. So it's getting it sorted, it's organising it, it's getting the design right. And then there's an element of directing. It's motivating the workers, motivating the other managers. It's team building. It's getting everybody to see that the organisation is really like a team, and that they must be motivated and work on behalf of the team. And communications must be good, so that there's clarity in the message. People understand the message. And also they can see that there is leadership. This is a ship with a master. This is a ship with a rudder. It's not going to go aground. This organisation is heading towards a particular goal, or it's attempting to achieve a particular goal, and there is leadership in it. Somebody is taking on that function. And also, the workers are trained to deliver according to the requirements of the job. The training has been set out. The next function is controlling. And controlling is it's setting up standards. It's setting up benchmarks by which performance can be measured. And it's assessing that performance according to the benchmarks to establish standards. And it's comparing the performance with perhaps other organisations in the same business, in the same sector, or national standards. And if the organisation is not achieving those, then corrective action may be required. Having gone through the controlling stage, that takes us back and completes the cycle. Now, we just have a look at Henry Fayol. He was a French engineer and a director of mines. His career was established during the 1916, when he, in 1916 I should say, when the publication of his work came out. Now, after retirement, Fayol went on to publish a comprehensive theory of administration. The publication discusses administrative arrangements and processes. It shed light on the growing debate about management and set up really the administrative school of management theory. So his administration was born out of his own experiences and observations. And he it was this idea of working in an organization that helped his ideas develop, and helped him to establish this aspect of the classical school, this administrative aspect of the classical school. So it was his experiences and his observations that were of paramount importance. All organizations have principles which allow them to run smoothly and administer efficiently. This leads to our one best way approach to management thinking. And this emerges over time. This is how organizations learn. They perform the functions, and over time they get better at performing the functions, and they're able to tweak their own systems so that after a while the one best way emerges. And that's what led Fayol to introduce 5 functions about management roles and actions. And in this session we want to have a look at these as well. So we've just set out the framework, the cycle, and now we'll have a look at what Fayol is suggesting as the 5 functions of management. First, there is a technical. It looks at manufacturing, production operations, and so on. And even within modern business, which is information bound, we still have processing. We still have taking in data, refining the data, turning it into information that's useful, analyzing it. There are still functions to be performed. So it's very similar to old-fashioned production, running through making things. But there is a technical function. There's also a commercial function, which is purchasing and selling and supply chain operations. The commercial function is how to capitalize on the work done, how to purchase in the raw materials at the start and how to sell the finished product at the end, and all the parts in between, right from raw materials, the purchase of raw materials, to the satisfied consumer at the other end. There's also a financial function. It looks at all of the processes associated with the financial management of the business, capital budgeting, project management, risk assessment, and as well as the financial, there is the managerial aspects of accounting, apportioning costs and trying to work out what the best price is given costs of production and the costs of overheads, and apportioning the costs of overheads. There's also a security aspect, and this function considers the protection of people, goods and property within the organization. The management must look after the organization. It must be secure, and that means secure day and night, a secure environment for the workers, and security of their effort when they're not there, security of the items which have been perhaps produced but not sold yet, security of the machinery, of the capital, of the raw materials. But he saw the main functions as accounting and administration. Accounting involves the financial aspects of the business, and the administration function analyzes the responsibility of management and their expectations within the organization. So the 5 functions that Fayol considered to be that of management were these: the planning, the organizing, controlling, coordinating, and commanding. We'll go through these very briefly to see what's meant by them. So we start with planning. It's preparing an action plan for the future, looking into current trends to develop future prospects. Creating an action can be difficult as it requires an active and continuous participation of the organisation. So it must be coordinated, it must be initiated, it must be coordinated, it must be future looking, it must be into the future, it must take what is going on at the moment, the current trends, and see where they're likely to go in the future, so that the plan has got credibility, it's rooted in what people know is happening right now. So the whole planning process is complicated. It's very complicated because they are trying to predict the future, which is not really possible. But they're trying to have their best bet at it. So the first one was planning. The next one is organising. Preparing the necessary resources to accommodate the action plan for the future. That's what organising is. It's preparing the resources. And then it's applying those resources, the capital and the people, the raw materials. It's applying those to get the output. And it's trying to get that in an efficient manner. It's organising it not simply by throwing resources at the problem, but throwing the right resources in an efficient manner at the problem. So, organising. Then we've got commanding. Well, the manager's ability to supervise employees, it must be there. The ability to supervise, lead, direct. The whole idea is to get the workers to produce the output. And that is by leadership, but it's also, there must be understanding that the manager has a responsibility to achieve it. So there's an element of commanding. It involves giving out instructions and the expectation that the job will be done to the best of the employee's ability. So the manager gives out the instructions, tells the workers how to do it, then expects the workers to do it properly. Successful managers have a good working relationship with their employees and are able to integrate, effectively communicate and pass on judgment. So good managers are ones who command in a way that does not feel like commanding. They have a good relationship with the workers and they can get it done by persuasion. Next, coordinating. It's trying to have the smooth running of the activities. It's trying to get the organisation to successfully run smoothly. All the parts are integrated. They're all meshing together smoothly. There's no shortages, no overproduction, everything is running smoothly. The resources for this action plan to be effective must be available and arranged accordingly. So the function should run in complete harmony, and there should be a sort of circulation of effort without any disturbance. Fayol suggested that holding weekly conferences with departmental heads would be an ideal mechanism to solve any problems, so that the departmental heads know what each one is doing and they are always moving in the same direction. They're taking corrective action as they go through, not waiting to the end and having a bad surprise. Finally, we have controlling. Controlling is the objective function of this function is to ensure that the plan has been effectively followed. Weaknesses and errors have been identified by regular evaluating feedback. So the manager's role here is to make sure that the plans, policies, and the instructions have been adhered to by his or her subordinates. So controlling means there is a plan, there's a way of doing it, and trying to get everyone to do it, and controlling the way they're doing to ensure that the outcome is what was expected. It coincides with the command and coordination function to a large extent, the smooth running of the daily business routines, while keeping in mind the business plan, the action plan. So controlling means getting everybody to stick to the plan, to follow the rules, to follow the guidelines, to follow the procedures, so that there are no surprises. Nothing bad's going to happen in the end. So what we've done here is we've looked at the functions of management, at least from the perspective of fail, and we have also looked at the circularity in how the planning process leads into the final end product, right at the very start of the talk. It's important to understand what the functions of management are, and it's important to have a perspective, and this particular talk gives us one very popular and very common perspective. That concludes this video, so thank you for watching.